When we speak of freedom, most people think about nations, societies, or systems. But the greatest prison is not outside, it is within. Your own past has become a chain around your ankles. You carry memories like heavy luggage, dragging them into every step of the present. Understand this: the past does not exist anywhere except in your memory. It is not living reality, it is just a psychological shadow. Yet, most people live as if yesterday is still happening today. When you allow the past to define who you are not living, you are merely replaying old recordings. Freedom from the past does not mean erasing your memory. It means using memory as a tool, not becoming a slave to it. Just as a knife can be used to cut vegetables or to cut your hand, memory too can serve you or wound you. If you truly want to be free, stop identifying with what has already gone. The present moment is alive. The past is only an echo. Don't mistake the echo for the song. Freedom from your past is not about forgetting. It is about transcending. When you drop the weight of yesterday, life becomes fresh like the morning breeze. Every step you take is no longer dictated by what has been, but by the limitless possibility of what can be. When we speak about freedom, our minds instantly jump to external forces. Freedom from authority, freedom from poverty, freedom from social barriers. But the truth is, the deepest prison is not built by others. The walls of the strongest prison are not outside you, they are inside you. This prison is constructed out of your own past, brick by brick, memory by memory, regret by regret. You may not see these walls, but you feel them every time you want to move forward and something invisible pulls you back. Most people are not really living in the present. They are only recycling their past again and again. What they call life is just a replay of old experiences, fears, and disappointments. They wake up each morning with yesterday's dust still covering their eyes, so they fail to see the freshness of the new day. They go to bed carrying the same bundle of thoughts, unable to lay it down, unable to rest even in their sleep. What makes this condition so tragic is that they believe this weight is part of who they are. But let us look carefully. What is the past? Is it something solid, existing somewhere outside you? No. It is only a storehouse of impressions within your mind. It is a shadow. Shadows seem real when you chase them, but they vanish the moment you stop giving them attention. Yet, most human beings have mistaken the shadow for reality. They have allowed the shadow of their past to determine the shape of their present and future. When you call yourself unlucky because something went wrong years ago, you are allowing the past to chain you. When you hesitate to take an opportunity because you once failed, you are handing over today's steering wheel to yesterday's accidents. When you treat others with suspicion or fear because someone once betrayed you, you are still living inside yesterday's prison. What is gone. But if you do not release it, you become a prisoner of something that doesn't even exist anymore. This prison is subtle because it is invisible. If someone locks you inside a room, you know you are trapped. You can try to break the lock. But if your mind keeps you chained to old memories, you may not even realize that you are bound. You may mistake the prison for your home, the chains for your ornaments, the pain for your personality. You keep decorating your cage with excuses, telling yourself, "This is who I am. This is my nature. This is my destiny." In this way, you keep polishing your shackles instead of breaking them. The past is not a monster waiting outside to devour you. It is only a collection of impressions recorded within you. Yet, because you give them energy, they continue to play like a broken record. It is like carrying a heavy backpack long after the journey has ended. You keep adjusting the straps, shifting the weight from one shoulder to the other, but you never think of simply putting it down. Freedom comes the moment you see that you are carrying something unnecessary. To live free of the past does not mean you should forget everything. Memory has its own place. It is a useful tool, just like a knife in the kitchen. With it, you can learn, you can grow, you can preserve wisdom. But the same knife can wound you if you don't know how to handle it. The same memory that should guide you becomes the chain that binds you if you keep identifying with it. The problem is not memory itself. The problem is your attachment to it. You are clinging to experiences that no longer have life in them, but you treat them as if they are still happening now. Life is always fresh. Every moment is new. The only place where repetition happens is in your mind. The breeze that touches your skin this morning has never touched you before. The sunrise that appears today is not the same as yesterday's. Even the person you see in the mirror has changed since yesterday. But your mind is too occupied with its recordings to notice. Because you are replaying the same inner movie, you fail to see the reality outside. Suppose a man fell once while walking down a street. If he learns from the fall and continues to walk freely, that is wisdom. But if he spends the rest of his life avoiding that street, fearing every turn, imagining that the ground is always ready to betray him, he has allowed one small event to build a lifelong prison. That is what most of us are doing. A single insult, a single mistake, a single betrayal is enough for us to construct whole walls around ourselves, cutting off fresh possibilities. If you want to know freedom, you must see clearly that the past has no power over you unless you keep feeding it with attention. Stop watering the weeds. If you keep talking about your pain, it will never leave you. If you keep reminding yourself of who hurt you, you will always live in their shadow. If you keep clinging to your failures, you will never step into success. Life is waiting to happen, but you are too busy polishing the chains of your yesterday. Every human being has the capacity to be free, because freedom is not something that comes from outside. It is an inner state. The past is dead. Only your attachment to it keeps it alive. The moment you drop that attachment, you will feel as if a huge burden has been lifted. Suddenly you will breathe easier, see clearer, and move lighter. But dropping the past does not happen by force. If you try to suppress your memories, they will only return with more strength. Freedom happens through awareness. Just by seeing that your past is only a shadow, just by realizing that it has no real existence right now, you create a gap between yourself and the memory. In that gap, there is freedom. You do not have to fight your past, you only need to stop identifying with it. Once you see this, life becomes simple. You no longer walk with heavy chains. You do not have to measure today with the yardstick of yesterday. You do not have to carry wounds that have long since healed. You do not have to repeat the same story again and again. You can step out of the circle and walk into fresh ground. Freedom from the past is not a luxury. It is the very foundation of a joyful life. Without it, you cannot know love because old fears will keep interfering. Without it, you cannot know success because old failures will keep whispering. Without it, you cannot know peace because old conflicts will keep replaying. But with it, you can live each moment fully, tasting life as it is, not as it was. So the question is simple. Are you willing to drop the prison you built for yourself? No one else is holding the key. The door has always been open. You are free to walk out the moment you realize that the walls around you are only painted shadows. Life is fleeting. Freedom is waiting. The past is gone, let it go. When you look at life, it seems like one unbroken flow. You wake up in the morning, you remember what you did yesterday, and you expect tomorrow to continue the same story. It feels as if life is a straight line, stretching from the past into the future, carrying you along like a passenger on a train. This is the way most people perceive existence, a constant, uninterrupted thread. But this is an illusion. Life does not exist as a continuous stretch. Continuity is something the mind creates by stitching together scattered moments with the thread of memory. Without memory, there is no sense of past. Without imagination, there is no sense of future. There is only this moment. Yet, because the mind cannot stand the vast openness of the present, it builds a bridge out of recollections and projections, creating the sense of an unbroken journey. Take a closer look at your own life. The moment that passed a second ago is gone forever. The thought you had just now has vanished into nothingness. Even the breath you took a minute ago has dissolved into the air. What remains is only this moment, fresh and alive. But because you can recall earlier moments, because you can line them up in memory, you believe that life is continuous. You imagine that today is simply an extension of yesterday, and that tomorrow will be an extension of today. But is that true? Every day is born fresh. The sun that rises today has never risen before. The tree you walk past is not the same as it was yesterday. It has changed, even if the change is too subtle for your eyes to notice. Your own body is not the same. It is in constant movement, constant renewal. Cells die, new ones take birth. Your mind, your emotions, your energies are shifting every moment. There is no real continuity. There is only constant change. The illusion of continuity comes from the way the mind strings together moments like beads on a thread. You think the beads are one long shape, but they are just individual beads. The thread that seems to connect them is only your memory. When you mistake memory for reality, you believe you are living a continuous life. But in truth, life is made of separate, unique, irretrievable moments. This illusion has a powerful grip on human beings. Because you think life is continuous, you carry forward all your pains, all your regrets, all your fears, as though they have permanent existence. Something happened 10 years ago. Yet you believe its shadow is still hanging over you today, because you think the line of life has stretched from then until now without break. But what happened then was only one moment, already gone. The only reason it still weighs on you is because you have kept the memory alive, and in keeping it alive, you sustain the illusion of continuity. If you see clearly, you will understand that what you call your life story is nothing but a bundle of selected memories stitched together into a narrative. You pick some moments, you ignore others, and then you weave them into a tale of who you are. This tale gives you a sense of identity, but it is not reality. It is only a construction. Without this construction, who would you be? You would be simply life itself, alive in this moment, not bound by any thread. The danger of this illusion is that it robs you of the freshness of existence. Because you believe today is nothing but an extension of yesterday, you fail to see the newness that is right in front of you. You meet people as if you already know them, carrying yesterday's impressions into today's encounter. You meet each situation with old prejudices, old ideas, old fears, so you never truly see it as it is. Continuity blinds you. Children are free of this illusion to some extent. They wake up every day as if life is brand new. That is why their laughter is fresh, their curiosity unbounded. They have not yet stitched together too much memory into a heavy story. But as people grow, they accumulate memories and soon they lose the ability to see life without the lens of continuity. By the time they are adults, they are no longer meeting life as it is. They are only recycling what they think they already know. Consider your breath. Each inhalation is complete in itself. Each exhalation is complete in itself. You cannot join one breath to another. You cannot say, because I breathed yesterday, I will not breathe today. Every breath is fresh, independent, self-contained. In the same way, every moment of life is fresh, independent, self-contained. The continuity is only imagined. When you understand this, a new kind of freedom dawns. You realize that you do not have to drag the past into the present. You do not have to assume that tomorrow will be the same as today. Each moment is a fresh possibility, untouched by what came before. The prison of continuity breaks and life begins to flow with lightness. But breaking this illusion requires awareness. The mind is addicted to continuity because it finds safety in the known. It is comfortable believing that tomorrow will follow today because then it feels it has some control. The unknown is frightening, so the mind clings to the illusion of continuity like a blanket. But this blanket suffocates. It covers your eyes from the vibrant reality that every moment is new. The truth is, continuity is only a convenience for functioning. To run a society, to build a career, to manage relationships, you need a sense of continuity. You need to remember your commitments and responsibilities. But if you mistake this convenience for reality, you become trapped. Life is not asking you to erase your memory, but to see it for what it is, a tool, not the truth. The tool is useful, but the truth is always this moment. Try to see this for yourself. Right now, this moment is all there is. Whatever happened a year ago, a month ago, even a minute ago, is no longer here. Whatever may happen an hour later or 10 years later is not here yet. The only reality is this breath, this heartbeat, this moment. Everything else is memory or imagination. This is not philosophy. This is simple fact. When you begin to live with this awareness, the illusion of continuity loosens its grip. You start to meet life with freshness. You begin to see people as they are now, not as you once labeled them. You begin to face situations with openness, not with yesterday's judgments. You begin to experience yourself not as a fixed identity tied to a long story, but as a living being, renewed every moment. And that is the essence of freedom. Life is not a straight line stretching endlessly. It is a series of fresh drops of existence, falling into the vast ocean of the now. The illusion of continuity is only the mind's habit of linking them together. Once you see this clearly, you will no longer be bound by the thread of memory. You will live as life itself, ever fresh, ever new, ever free. Memory is one of the greatest gifts given to human beings. Without it, you would not know your own name. Without it, you would not be able to recognize the face of the person standing next to you. Without memory, you could not learn a language, perform a skill, or even walk steadily, because every step requires remembrance of the step before. Memory is a powerful instrument. It allows you to accumulate knowledge, to store experiences, to transmit culture, to pass on wisdom from one generation to the next. Without memory, humanity would have no civilization. And yet, this great blessing becomes a curse for most people, because instead of using memory, they are used by memory. Think for a moment. When you look at the people around you, are you really seeing them as they are right now? Or are you only seeing your memory of them? When you look at your friend, perhaps you remember something he said to you yesterday, and that colors your perception today. When you look at your child, maybe you are still holding on to the mistake she made a week ago, and it shapes the way you treat her now. When you look at yourself in the mirror, are you seeing who you are today? Or are you only recalling your past failures and successes, your old ideas of who you should be? This is where memory becomes a trap. Instead of serving you as a useful record, it becomes a lens through which you distort the present. Life is always happening here and now, but you are constantly dragging the weight of yesterday into today. Someone insulted you 10 years ago, and even now, the bitterness rises in your chest when you remember it. Someone betrayed you long ago, and even now, you cannot trust others because of that memory. Memory has chained you, and you are not even aware that the chains are self-imposed. But memory in itself is not the problem. The problem is identification. You identify so strongly with what you remember that it becomes more real to you, the living moment. The mind is like a recording device. It stores every impression, every experience, every word, every image, whether you consciously notice it or not. Most of the time, these recordings are just lying there silently. But sometimes they rise up with such force that they take over your entire inner world. You stop living the moment and start living the memory. Think of memory like a knife. In the kitchen, a knife is a wonderful tool. It helps you prepare food, it serves a purpose. But if you hold it carelessly or use it on yourself, it can cut and wound you. In the same way, the memory can guide you, protect you, and teach you. But if you keep stabbing yourself with it every day, it becomes a source of suffering. The same instrument that can make life beautiful can also make life miserable. The difference lies not in the knife, but in how you use it. There is also another dimension to memory that is often ignored. Memory is not only what you consciously remember. There is also a deeper memory imprinted in your body, in your very cells. Your body remembers things that your mind has long forgotten. That is why habits are hard to break, because the body has its own memory. That is why fears sometimes arise without any apparent reason, because the body carries impressions of the past. This memory is like an undercurrent, silently shaping the way you think, feel, and act. It is useful for survival. Your body remembers how to heal itself, how to digest food, how to breathe even while you are asleep. But the same memory can also keep you repeating patterns of behavior without awareness, living mechanically instead of consciously. To use memory as a tool means to hold it in your hands, not on your head. It means to be able to recall what is useful when you need it, but not to be enslaved by it when you do not. If you carry memory everywhere as a burden, life becomes heavy. But if you keep it aside and use it only when required, life becomes light. Imagine carrying all your household items with you, wherever you go. Your bed, your table, your stove, your books, strapped on your back. Every step would be a struggle. But if you leave them in your home and use them only when you need them, you can walk freely. Memory works in exactly the same way. When memory is in its proper place, it enriches life. It gives you the wisdom of experience. It helps you avoid repeating mistakes. It allows you to build upon what you already know and grow further. But when memory oversteps its boundary, it paralyzes life. You become stuck in old stories, unable to see new possibilities. You become afraid to take risks because you remember past failures. You become suspicious of love because you remember past heartbreaks. You become close to learning because you remember how you once succeeded and assume that you already know everything. The tragedy is that many people think this misuse of memory is natural. They say, that is just who I am. I am shaped by my past. But who you are is not your past. Who you are is this living presence right now. The past is gone. It exists only as memory. The future has not come. It exists only as imagination. Only the present is real. To confuse yourself with memory is to mistake a photograph for the living person. A photograph has its value, but it is not alive. In the same way, memory has its value, but it is not life. If you want to know freedom, you must learn to keep memory in its right place. When you need it, you can pick it up. When you don't, you can set it down. That is mastery. That is intelligence. But if memory keeps picking you up whenever it wants, you are not living your life. You are living your past again and again. So, the question is not whether you should have memory or not. The question is whether memory should have you or not. If memory has you, you are a prisoner. If you have memory, you are free. This is the real art of living. To hold the tools of the mind in your hands and not be held by them. Life is meant to be a fresh experience each moment. Memory should serve that freshness by adding wisdom, not by burying it under repetition. If you know how to use memory well, it can be your greatest ally. It can give you perspective, clarity, and depth. But if you misuse it, it becomes your greatest enemy, dragging you into depression, resentment, and fear. The choice is yours. Memory is here to serve you. It is your servant, not your master. The moment you realize this, the burden lives. The wounds of the past lose their sting. The shadows of yesterday no longer block the light of today. You can step into the present as a living being, not as a bundle of old recordings. Then memory becomes what it was always meant to be, a tool in your hands, sharp and useful, but silent when you do not need it. That is when life becomes beautiful, because you are no longer carrying yesterday into today. You are no longer stabbing yourself with the knife you should have used to cut bread. You are living fully, freely, and wisely, using memory only when it enriches the moment and putting it aside when it does not. That is the true mastery of being human. Life is always happening here, in this very moment. But most people miss it. They are either trapped in what has already passed, or they are lost in what has not yet come. They carry the weight of yesterday on their shoulders and the anxiety of tomorrow in their minds. So when life is happening right now, they are not here to experience it. They live in memories or in imaginations, but rarely in reality. The present moment is the only thing that truly belongs to you. Yesterday is a memory, tomorrow is only a projection, but this moment is living, breathing, and real. Yet, instead of embracing it, people treat it as if it is just a stepping stone to something else. They endure the present while waiting for the future. They suffer today for the sake of a tomorrow that never truly arrives, because when tomorrow comes, it arrives as today. And still, they are not here. If you watch carefully, you will see that almost all human misery comes from not living in the present. Regret comes from clinging to the past, Worry comes from clinging to the future. Fear, anxiety, and even boredom are all products of stepping away from the immediacy of the now. If you were simply here, awake and alive to what is happening, those shadows would have no place to grow. But the mind is restless. It is always running. It cannot sit still in the present moment. It is addicted to movement, addicted to either replaying what happened or rehearsing what may happen. It is like a monkey, swinging from the branch of memory to the branch of imagination, never staying on the tree of reality. The tragedy is that life does not happen in memory or imagination. Life happens only in this moment, and if you are not present for it, you are missing the only life you have. Living in the present does not mean you must forget your past or ignore your future. It means you must put them in their right place. Use the past as wisdom, not as a chain. Use the future as a possibility, not as a burden. But when life is unfolding now, be here fully. If you are drinking water, taste it. If you are walking, feel the ground under your feet. If you are with someone, see them as they are now, not as the memory of who they were yesterday. This is what it means to live in the present. The beauty of the present is that it is endlessly fresh. Every breath is new, every moment is unique. The same sun rises each day, but no sunrise is identical. The same breeze touches you, but no breeze is repeated. Even your own heartbeat is never the same twice. Life is an ever-renewing miracle, but because you are buried in your own thoughts, you fail to notice. You live as if life is repetitive, when in truth it is never repeated. When you are not living in the present, you are like someone sitting at a feast with their eyes closed. The food is there, the fragrance is there, the taste is waiting, but you are too distracted by your imagination of another meal to enjoy what is in front of you. The feast of life is happening now, in every breath, in every sound, in every sight, but because you are elsewhere in your mind, you miss the richness of it. Living in the present is not about philosophy, it is about awareness. It is about training yourself to notice what is here and now. Most people think they are alive because they are breathing and moving, but true aliveness comes only when you are conscious of the moment you are in. Otherwise, you are half asleep, functioning like a machine, repeating the same patterns, but never touching the essence of life. When you live in the present, something magical happens. The mind becomes lighter because it is no longer carrying the burden of time. You do not have to drag yesterday's pain or tomorrow's fear into today. You experience freedom because the chains of time no longer hold you. Joy arises naturally, not from achieving something or reaching somewhere, but from the sheer wonder of being alive now. Peace arises because there is no conflict between what has been and what will be. There is only what is. But this is not easy for the restless mind. It constantly asks, what next? Even while enjoying a beautiful moment, the mind is preparing the next plan, the next desire, the next worry. To live in the present requires courage, because it means stepping into the unknown. The past feels safe because it is familiar, even if it was painful. The future feels tempting because it promises improvement, but the present is raw, immediate, and uncertain. To live here demands that you drop your illusions of control and simply be. Look at a child. A child plays with total involvement, laughs with total intensity, cries with total immediacy. For a child, the present is everything. That is why childhood feels so alive, so vibrant, so full of wonder. But as people grow, they accumulate memories and anxieties, and soon they lose this ability to be present. They spend their days chasing what is not yet here or mourning what is no longer here. In the process, they miss the simple joy of living. If you truly want to know what it means to be free, learn to live in the present. Notice your breath. Notice the way sunlight falls on the wall. Notice the sound of the wind, the rhythm of your footsteps, the beating of your heart. These are not small things, they are life itself. And life is not waiting for you in some distant future. It is here right now. The past is like a shadow, the future is like a dream, but the present is like the sun. It is the only source of light. Shadows and dreams exist only because of the sun. But if you ignore the sun and chase the shadow or the dream, you will forever feel empty. When you turn to the sun of the present, you are filled with warmth, clarity, and strength. Living in the present also transforms your relationships. Most conflicts arise because people relate to each other through old memories. They hold on to grievances, grudges, and labels, and so they never really meet the person in front of them. If you could meet someone as they are now, without the baggage of who they were before, you would see them freshly, and there would be space for love, forgiveness, and understanding. The same is true with yourself. If you could meet yourself without the burden of who you used to be, you would see that you are free to be new in every moment. The present is not something you must create. It is already here. The only work is to bring your attention to it. To live in the present is to align yourself with reality, to harmonize with the rhythm of existence. It is to stop fighting time and start flowing with life. And when you live this way, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. Drinking a glass of water becomes sacred. Sitting quietly becomes fulfilling. Meeting another human being becomes a miracle. Nothing is mundane because you are awake to the wonder of it. Life ceases to be something you endure and becomes something you celebrate. So the question is not whether the present exists. The present is always here. The question is whether you are here for it. If you are absent, lost in past or future, life passes by unnoticed. But if you are present, even a single breath can reveal the infinity of existence. Living in the present is not a technique. It is the essence of life itself. It is the only way to truly live. When people think about freedom from the past, the first reaction is often to try and forget. Many imagine that to move forward, they must somehow erase what has happened, blot it out as if it never occurred. But forgetfulness is not freedom. Forgetfulness is just another form of suppression, and anything suppressed has a way of resurfacing, often stronger than before. The mind is not a machine where you can press delete and expect a file to vanish permanently. It is an intricate field of impressions, memories, emotions, and energies. Whatever you try to bury will find a way to speak again, sometimes through dreams, sometimes through sudden reactions, sometimes through unexplained fears or impulses. If freedom were simply the ability to forget, then the whole of human struggle would be solved by amnesia. But life does not work like that. Transcendence is of a different nature. It means you see the past for what it was, but you are no longer bound by it. You hold the memory, but the memory holds no power over you. It is like looking at an old photograph. You recognize the faces, the place, the time, but you do not live as though that moment is happening now. You see it, acknowledge it, and yet you are free from its pull. Transcendence does not require you to deny or erase your experiences. It requires you to shift your relationship with them. When a person lives in forgetfulness, they are merely running from something they do not want to face. It is like locking an untamed animal in a room and pretending it no longer exists. But you will live in fear that one day the door may open and the animal will leap out. Transcendence is when the animal itself becomes tame, when it no longer holds any threat, when you can sit with it and not be disturbed. To transcend the past is to recognize that what happened does not have to define who you are in this moment. You can carry the knowledge, even the scars, but you do not have to carry the pain. Think of it this way. The past is like a seed that has already sprouted and grown into a tree. You cannot go back and change the seed once it has blossomed, but you can decide whether to keep watering it or not. Forgetfulness is pretending the tree is not there, even when its branches are all around you. Transcendence is understanding that the tree is part of the landscape of your life, but it no longer rules over your garden. You see it, you respect that it grew from what once was, but you are free to plant new seeds, nurture new growth, and create a different atmosphere in your present. Most people misunderstand freedom as a erasure. They think that to move forward they must somehow wipe clean everything that has happened. But in truth, every experience you have ever had is part of the tapestry of your being. You cannot tear away threads without damaging the fabric itself. Freedom is not tearing, it is weaving new patterns. To transcend is to see that even the darkest thread can add depth to the design. That even mistakes can become sources of wisdom if you stop identifying with them as your identity. When you live in transcendence, memory becomes something you can visit rather than a place where you dwell. You can look back without being dragged back. You can see pain without suffering it again. You can see joy without clinging to it. You can acknowledge failure without shrinking under its weight. This is what makes transcendence powerful. It allows you to live with awareness rather than avoidance. Forgetfulness is shallow. It keeps you weak because it makes you dependent on hiding. Transcendence makes you strong because it comes from clarity. One reason people cling to forgetfulness is fear. They fear that if they face the past, they will be consumed by it. They believe that remembering will only bring pain. But remembrance in awareness is not the same as reliving. When you observe the past with distance, you are not caught inside it. It becomes a lesson, not a wound. Forgetfulness avoids the lesson and keeps the wound raw beneath the surface. Transcendence transforms the wound into wisdom. In transcendence, you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" And you begin to ask, "What can I grow from this?" Life will always bring events that leave marks, some joyful, some painful. But whether those marks are scars that keep bleeding or inscriptions of wisdom depends entirely on your approach. Forgetting is like covering the inscription with dirt. Transcending is like reading it clearly and then walking forward, enriched by the knowledge it offers. It is also important to see that transcendence is not a one-time event. It is a way of living. Every day, new experiences are entering your life. Every day, impressions are forming. If you cultivate the habit of transcendence, you stop becoming a victim of accumulation. You live lightly, carrying only what serves you, leaving the rest as it is. Forgetfulness cannot offer this because it constantly demands that you push things aside. But life is relentless, more and more will come. Only transcendence allows you to flow without being burdened. Think of the sky. Clouds pass by, storms may rage, sunlight may shine, but the sky itself remains untouched. Transcendence is the state of the sky. Forgetfulness is like pretending the clouds never existed, even when they are overhead. The sky does not need to deny or erase the clouds. It simply allows them to come and go, knowing they are not permanent. When you realize you are the sky and not the clouds, you are free. This is the essence of real freedom from the past. It is not about cutting off, erasing, or pretending. It is about recognizing that the past is a collection of moments that have already served their time. They have shaped you. They have taught you. They have brought you here. But they do not have to dictate the next step you take. You can carry memory like a book on your shelf. You can open it when you wish, learn from it, smile at it, even shed a tear. But you are not compelled to live inside its pages. You can close it and step into the present, fresh and unbound. Transcendence is maturity. It is inner clarity. It is the realization that what has been is simply what has been. It does not demand your enslavement. Forgetfulness is immaturity. It is an attempt to escape rather than to rise above. To live fully, you must not become less aware, but more aware. Forgetting narrows awareness, transcending expands it. The invitation is to look at your past with open eyes, neither glorifying nor condemning, neither clinging nor erasing. Simply see it, acknowledge it, and let it stay where it belongs, behind you. The power of transcendence is that it liberates without denying, it heals without hiding, it strengthens without hardening. And when you live this way, the past no longer has the power to chain you. It becomes part of the story, but not the author of your life. The author is you, here and now, free to write the next chapter.